welcome to a new episode of Getting to the Truth in This Art. I'm your host, Rob Lee, and today I have the pleasure of welcoming David Alima from the Charmery. Thank you for coming to the show.
Man, I'm hyped to be here. I'm excited.
Well, this is a treat for me, and it's a creamy treat, actually.
It's funny. That's like my nickname. A lot of my boys, they call me Creamy. So
I've been coming up with really corny like nicknames or what have you. I started calling myself Wave Matthews because I'm an Aquarius. And some people get it, some people don't. But it's like, all right, cool, So
Wave.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I want to get into like why I have you on here and kind of what you do. Like, so you're from the Charmery, and I said that really vaguely just to allow you to say your story how you want to say it instead of saying, ice cream czar, or whatever, make up some title. I want to I usually let the people who are the guests kind of describe their thing. So how would you describe and give us the whole rundown?
Yeah, I mean, the Charmery is, it's a really good timing too. When we spoke the first time, you mentioned this is one of your anniversaries. This is right around our 7-year anniversary too. So it's a really fun time to kind of be reflective and think about it. And, what started off as, an ice cream shop and basically the Charmery, we handcraft ice cream, we make unusual flavors, and we are a community gathering point. And that's really like the heart of the matter to us is, how do we make Baltimore a better city through ice cream?
That's a great mission. That's a great goal. And I think one of the things that you keyed in on as, I do some reflection and look at how I'm growing as a podcaster and as a voice in some ways. I look at what interests me in people, what interests me in things. And I've had some interesting guests on here and they've got some unique things, some unique stories. And that's what I try to tell here at show. People in Baltimore have something unique. People in Baltimore have talent and we're people we have a rich culture here. So what is your connection to Baltimore? Are you were you from here? Did you, or did you move in? What is your story there?
Yeah, I grew up in Baltimore. Grew up in the suburbs in Pikesville and all around sort of. And Colonial Village was another neighborhood I grew up in. And I just always, as a child, the city had a certain allure for me. We'd go in and kind of explore. My parents loved Greek food, so we'd go to Greek Town. We'd go to different restaurants throughout the different city. We actually used to go to Hamden quite a bit, where one of our flagship shop is. And I always loved Baltimore. When I got older, we used to sneak into jazz clubs in high school in Baltimore, and just Baltimore always had a special place to me. Then I went to school in upstate New York. And from there, I moved to D.C. and loved D.C. for about 5 years, moved to Northern California. And I was like, all right, this place is perfect. I love Northern California. But it wasn't the East Coast. And I was too sarcastic, I think, for the West Coast, especially Northern California. And they was just Baltimore called me back. And it took a while to get back to understand why. Because when I moved back to Baltimore, and something I feel about Baltimore is the more you give to it, the more you get back from it. And I just hadn't found my lane in Baltimore before we opened the Charmery. So,
yeah, that's big. I mean, having different people. Like a few weeks back, I had this duo, Shaolin Jazz. They do live.
Oh, they're great.
Yeah.
They do. Yeah, they're great.
I went to, I was joking with them. I was like, I was a bad Baltimorean. He was like, what do you mean? I was like, well, during that Ravens playoff game, I went to see you guys and I feel like I may have caused that loss.
It was your fault. I was thinking it was your fault. I was just waiting to see whose fault. I knew it was yours.
It sounds about right. But in listening to it, it's always kind of these unique people that have something that's just there. It's just like, that doesn't seem, nope, that's something that I want to see. And you described, and we're going to talk about it a little bit further, in a bit, but you described that the Charmery does these kind of unique flavors or what have you. So talking about that a bit, what are some of your hits and some of your misses when it comes to your flavors? Like, all right, this is definitely going to kill. This is going to be great. And it's like, nah, that didn't work. Or something that, like, I told you a little bit earlier that we did our 10th anniversary like today, like last year, what have you. And one of the bits that came up was this pickle ice pop. And I was on non-pickle. I was on a no pickle side. But my co-host, he got all of the people that were there on his side. So he was giving out pickle flavored ice pops. And I was like, I thought this was going to bomb, but it worked. And I'm really mad about it. So in that context for the Charmery, like, what would be, that one side that was like, this was a win, and the other side like, had better expectations here?
All right, so let's start with the win. I would say cheese and crackers is a flavor we do.
Oh,
and it does. Right now it's a tricky time because of the pandemic that we're going through. We've stopped doing taste tests, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of the flavors where ice cream is one of the only food where like it's encouraged to try it beforehand, and that being able to taste gave us great freedom. Because it means like a flavor like cheese and crackers where you hear it and you're like, man, I got to try it. If I make it good enough, then you can be like, okay, now I get it. Now I understand, and I want a scoop of this. Now, if you just read it on a page, you might be like, nah. But
I'm good.
It's it's a cheddar cheese base, and we use freeze dried cheddar and real cheddar cheese and cheddar powder.
Wow.
And then we dust up Ritz crackers, and then we put chunks of Ritz crackers in it as well.
Wow.
So, I mean, Ritz crackers are buttery and salty and delicious. And
Absolutely.
Cheddar adds its like sharpness and the sweetness. It's a hit flavor. It is a good, delicious flavor. Like it sounds out there, but it's like it makes sense. Then there's a flavor like let me try to think of one. We tried to do like a flavor with pork rinds.
Oh.
And the pork rinds got soggy, and like I could do it again, and I think I'm gonna make it again. Another flavor we tried was 7-layer dip around the Super Bowl. Didn't work. Too many layers.
Too many layers. That's the story of my life, actually. I saw some of the pairings that were out there mentioning layers. I think it was baklava, and I was just like, all right, because I started perusing because I'm on this fast this week, so I'm kind of like living vicariously through people that are enjoying their different goodness. And I saw this one flavor that really caught my eye, and it was like, I like cornbread a lot. And I saw this like cornbread like flavor that was sitting there. It's like, look, can we talk?
That flavor is so good. Again, there's something about putting carbs in. It's the same thing with crackers. You put we have cornbread. We got a secret method. We make the cornbread in house, and then we crumble the cornbread, and then we coat the cornbread, and then we bake the whole point is that it stays a little bit toothsome, has a little bit of texture in the ice cream. So it's not like just like soggy cornbread, that there's some sort of like texture to it, which is hard because, ice cream is a liquid. Yeah. And even when it as it's freezing, it takes about 8 hours to get to like frozen. And then it sits in its like semi-frozen ice creamy state. It wants to absorb all the moisture from it. So you got to really get it like crunchy and nice. So who doesn't like cornbread and honey and put that in ice cream? And it's
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
It's just like, I think part of my, on the weekends we do like a fish fry, me and my girlfriend, and I feel like one of the flavors is going to be just, we're going to have like, lake trout, whiting, whatever the Baltimore staple is. And then it's like, you know what, instead of cornbread, baby, let's get some cornbread ice cream.
See, you see, what about this, right? we do a flavor, and it's called honey hot sauce. Imagine a little scoop of that on the sandwich.
Look, don't play with my heart now.
That was one of the, many years ago. We did an event with they're closed now, but they were called Shoe Fly Diner. In Belvedere Square, right? And we did a dinner with them where each course was an ice cream and food pairing, like We did a kale Caesar salad where the dressing was the ice cream.
Oh, wow.
But the best dish, the best dish we did was it was fried chicken with that honey hot sauce ice cream on top of it. And it would just,
wow.
I don't know what it is. There's something about honey ice cream, hot sauce, and fried chicken that is forever holds a special place in my heart.
So you're an ice cream wizard, is what you're describing, and that's great. So for you, and this is putting you on the spot, actually. What are like 3 of your go-to, like your flavors, like because you from what I understand, like the Charmery does this kind of combination. They're doing this combination of, or you guys are doing this combination. And please correct me if I'm wrong here, where you're doing something that's like just this is next level. Like we're going to try this. We're going to do these. You didn't expect that. We're going to put it into an ice cream, and then you're having this lane of like items that are just like traditional. These are the staples to bring in that audience that looks, I like my ice cream, regular, well done, but regular. Mm-hmm. So what ice cream do you like? What are your 3?
Yeah. So, you did a great job kind of thinking about it. We never really defined it until we opened the second shop. And then I was like, well, I just want to like people to understand a little bit. So we have 7 flavors that we call our always flavors. Yeah. So those flavors are always there. And except for the exception of one of them, the goal with those flavors is that if you want to come to an ice cream shop and get a traditional ice cream shop experience, you can get vanilla. And I want to make the best vanilla you've had. I want to make the best chocolate. I want to make the best. We do malty chip, which is our version of chocolate chip. Mint mountain, which is our, mint chip, and salty caramel. We want the best versions of like those classic ice cream flavors. We want kids to be happy. We want everyone to be able to come and enjoy ice cream. If you want to play around a little bit, we call those the experimental flavors. Yeah. Those you got to like twist your mind around and think about if that's something that you're into. And then we do seasonal. Yeah. And then we do seasonal flavors, which are like, based upon the seasons. So right now we're about to release doing a cantaloupe flavor and some like really summery kind of delicious flavors. So the 3 flavors I'd say, one we call ice cream sando. It is basically I have this like vivid memory of being like a young man, a young boy sitting on the curb at I think it was a High's convenience store. Yeah. And with this like classic ice cream sandwich, you get the cake on your 2 fingers here and just eat. And I wanted to recreate that moment in ice cream form. And so we have an ice cream sando that tastes like an ice cream sandwich. And to me, it's like every time I eat it, I get surprised that I'm awash with nostalgia. Like, whoa, where'd that come from? And that to me is like, if you can create like that moment while eating an ice cream and like bring someone back to a moment in their life or help them, coffees. Me and my grandparents used to take instant coffee and put in vanilla ice cream and mix it up. Wow. So then I'll like sometimes have that kind of like, we do coffee a little differently, but sometimes when I'm eating that coffee, it'll be like, people memories and food memories when everything comes together. That's like the real special sauce of it all to me.
Yeah, I think like food, music, those different things that come in, and I already kind of like tipped my hand a little bit there, by the way. But food and music, like when those things come in, they're almost a way of like just bringing you back. It's like a version of like Total Recall. You have something like, oh wow, they make these again. Like when I was a kid, it was one thing. It's almost like the holy grail of kind of junk foods for me. It's in junk food in the sense of like it's quality. I enjoy it, but also it's not like macros or what have you. It's like just fat. Were these like Ninja Turtle pies, like huge Ninja Turtle fan as a kid. And it's basically just a custard pie with like this green, like
that like nitro green.
Yeah. And I was like, is this like the ecto cooler like glaze on top of this? And I haven't seen them in a while because I don't think they exist anymore. But if someone said, look, I'm going to find a way to make this, I feel like just that setup, that flavor profile, all of that stuff is just going to take me back to when I was a kid and the first movies came out, and I was just like, wow, I'm looking at stuff like that. And I think food does that the same way that the music may do that. So I kind of perused some things, saw that you're in the podcast realm now. You're stepping on my toes a little bit.
No. It's all love, all love.
Nah. So tell us that combination of reggae music and ice cream. How do those two things come together?
Well, I had a lot of weird jobs that I never. This is the best job I ever had. I never knew that life could bring me here. I thought I had the best job in the world. I was in, when I was young, I didn't even understand, like from a young age, I didn't even understand that I loved reggae music. It was like in me from a child, but I never was able to connect to it. So instead, like anytime there was a song that like, obviously Bob Marley, kind of like the hits I knew, I never deep dove in it. But anytime there was a song like Here Comes the Hot Stepper or like Bad Boys, like that had this like reggae tinge or, was this kind of version of pop reggae, I immediately was drawn to it. And it wasn't until like probably even college where I was like, all right, let me dig deeper. And I started getting into the real like roots reggae. And it just hit me in a way I never, other music hadn't. And when I went to Northern California, I was working a job, man, and I really did not like this job. And I was sitting, I remember I was sitting there we were in a town called Santa Rosa, and there was a band called Groundation there. And they were like California jazz students that were playing really interesting reggae music. And I turn it over, I'm looking at the back, and it says Young Tree Records in Santa Rosa, California. What? I was like, all right. So I send an email off to the guy, and I say, I'll wipe floors in the studio. I don't care. I just need to be a part of this somehow. Yeah. And we met, and I was able to like kind of get hired to do marketing there. And it was a very small, it was like me, him, and one other person, and record label called Young Tree Records. And it was to promote Groundation, but then they also would take the legends of reggae music. Reggae is interesting because the founders of the music are still, at least back then, that was probably, 15, 20 years ago, the founders of this music were still alive. Right. But unlike rock and roll or hip hop, they weren't royalty. They were still struggling to survive off of music. Yeah. So our goal as this company was like, was to preserve and continuing the legacy of reggae music, and to give records we helped promote and re-release certain records that had kind of gotten lost in time. And I got to work with some of these like, deep dive reggae like founders. Yeah. And of course that was like a dream come true for me. And I got to do some tour management with them, with the band Groundation. And it was a really special time in my life. And, obviously anything I do now, I want to help, again, promote reggae music and promote the like musicians. Some of them are still alive. It's such an incredible thing to think about. It's not too much unlike hip hop, but it's about 10 years further, maybe not even, but, where the founders are still, struggling to survive. So that's something that I always want to help with whatever I can do. That's great. I mean, maybe that was too long of an answer, but it's something I'm passionate about. No, it's no such thing as too long of an answer. And that's great. Like I, kind of diving back into it, like, you mentioned jazz earlier, like going into the old clubs back in the day. And it's like, I'll find genres because I've grown like disinterested with certain genres, and I'll like start looking at other things. And sometimes I feel like, how people kind of joke that whole hack bit about like your browser history? I sometimes feel like disrespected about like what I have listed on Spotify. It's like, this is no cohesion. This is just everywhere. And I'll have like I can tell what I was listening to and what I was thinking by like certain chunks. So I think I go back maybe 3 weeks ago, I had like a chunk of 4 like Bob Marley love songs like in a row. And I was like, yeah, I remember what was happening then. Or I don't want to know. Or I'll have like this whole like brick of like Charles Mingus songs. I was like, look, that was a tough week. Yes, that was a tough week. I got like 40 Charles Mingus joints right here. This is something. But and this kind of, to bring it all back around, is like, well, I'm the same way. Like there's lots of music that interests me, I used to go see live music whenever possible. But like, I think the connection in the music that draws me in, and it is that I like when I believe when there is emotion put into the music and it's real and it feels powerful. And I think that's the same thing with the food world and like the business world and Baltimore as a whole is like when people are feeling it and true, that's when I connect. That's like the common thread in my life is like, I don't want to say realness but it's like emotion. Like I want to feel when someone's singing something, I want to feel it. When they're cooking something, I want to feel that love in it. I want to like, I tell my team here, if we're having bad days, I'm like, nope, you're not making ice cream today. We'll put the other guy on the ice cream. You can, cut up the thing or whatever,
Yeah.
You got to put the love into it.
It's transferring it. Like, even like from what I do in this podcast realm, I'm like, nah, we're not going to record today. We're going to do this on another day. It's just like the energy is just not there. And I definitely agree. And especially with talking with like artists and business owners and doing this show and just kind of using it as a vehicle is a very selfish vehicle to network with people and get to know like the people in the city that kind of keep the city moving, the gears out here. And, it's just like you meet people, you see what their thing is, and you see this energy that comes off of them, that they enjoy what they're doing. And it makes me enjoy what I'm doing that much more. And it's like, you'll do certain things like whatever the thing is, like I'll do a show with somebody and it's like, all right, this was all right. This didn't work as well. And other people's like, yeah, I think we're friends. So like, this is great, and it's just like something just clicks there and something resonates. And I think with whatever the commodity is, like if you're buying something, if you're consuming something in whatever way, it's like, yeah, work was put into that. That's you right there. That's you on a plate. That's you on a cone right there.
Right. Exactly. I love that.
So let's see. I think I've asked most of my questions here. Actually, I had two of them. Could you share an experience that helped craft your career, whether it be just in general or whether it be in what you're doing at the Charmery?
There was an ice cream parlor that we visited before we opened the Charmery, and it was called Creole Creamery in New Orleans.
Okay.
And I remember sitting there. Basically, Laura and I went. Laura's my wife and my business partner, and all around angel from heaven. And we were sitting there. We decided to go to New Orleans either to celebrate the fact that our bank loan had gotten approved, or to like scheme on what we do next with our entire lives.
Right.
So we hadn't quite found out, but that it wasn't looking good at that point. And we were like, let's go anyway. We go, and the owner of the Creole Creamery kind of showed us around. We got this tour. I remember sitting there and I looked around this ice cream shop, and I saw, students from Tulane. I saw people from all over the city, young kids, people on dates, people in a suit and tie, people with hard hats and vests on. And I was like, ice cream shops are the secret heart of a community. Like everyone is here getting ice cream. And it was a moment where I was like, this is what I want for Baltimore. I hadn't been able to, like, I hadn't seen that kind of ice cream shop. And there's something about ice cream, like ice cream is, if a date's going well, that's where you go. If you're having a bad day, it's where you go. If you need a little pick me up, like everyone loves ice cream. There is nothing like what I'm especially proud of. And if you go into our flagship shop, I remember just same thing on a Saturday evening, you'd look around, you'd be like, look behind the counter, look at these. We have incredible employees, and they came from all over the city. There were Towson students. There were people that took 3 buses to get to work. Yeah. And the shop is just filled with different people from different backgrounds. And in Baltimore, it's hard. It's hard to do that. Like there needs to be more places in Baltimore that are like unifying and like not, bringing people together. And ice cream is like, when I talk about it as like a weapon for good, that's kind of what I mean is like, it's a happiness thing. And like, that's always, a moment. And then another moment was like, after the riots in Baltimore, I remember like, Nick and Marilyn Mosby and their kids came in for ice cream, and the whole shop just started like applauding. It was like that moment where like the city needed a little bit of hope, and both of them were just kind of like there providing some hope, regardless of everything that comes after or before. Like there was like this one moment where it's like, and then it was like, it was like a community. Like whenever it feels like a community there, it makes me feel really, really happy.
Yeah, it's finding your tribe and providing like smiles or what have you through like high fat content and deliciousness, and that's the thing. Like, one of the moments that I had in doing this, and I always kind of juggle and struggle with the idea of, this is obviously a passion project, and it's like, is this work? Are you an artist? Are you this? Are you that? And I don't think about those things as much. Like, like when someone asks me, I have to think about it, but not really, just in my like regular life. But when we do like the live shows and, and things obviously have changed there, but when we do the live shows, and just one of those moments that, I'm doing the right thing was, I think we did a holiday show and we had some, people there, and we did this trivia contest, and we have like the Charlie Brown Christmas music playing and all of that stuff. We do a trivia contest, and it's like, finish the lyrics to this song. And it was the beginning of No Easy Way Out from Rocky IV. And people were singing along. And I was like, this is why I'm a podcaster. This is why I'm putting on these live shows. And this makes all of it worth it. Something as simple and as mundane as that. But to me, it's like bringing people together that fit into a certain like universe and unified by like either liking me or liking like people performing, like in podcasts and what have you. And that seems like what you were describing in that second example, with just people in Baltimore just coming together and, unified under the banner of ice cream. And the other thing that you mentioned previously with New Orleans. New Orleans is my favorite place, by the way.
Oh my God, New Orleans is amazing.
I usually go for my birthday. And so I want to say, what was it? I think it was like a couple of years ago. It was the last time I went there, and me and my girlfriend, actually, we stayed at this nice place. We did all this cool stuff, and again, I felt like I caused the Saints to lose. I feel like I'm a bad luck charm for football teams. So the game against the Rams that they lost, and that was on my birthday, and I was like, I have to go out and have dinner after this. I was like,
yeah.
I was like,
the whole town's upset, and you're like.
It was just sad saxophones. I was like, this is not great. But it was one of those things of seeing like that, how the people came together was the thing that ultimately I took out of it. It was like, I want this for Baltimore. I want like, I like when there's that good energy and people are connected and they're unified under something. And, hopefully we get more of that. And let's see, I think you already touched on this one, but maybe if you want to add anything else to it. So you touched on, I think, your aha moment. That was the Creole Creamery, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was one of them. I think the other is just, there were so many. Like, Laura, my wife Laura is the one that like she went to hotel school. This was her dream. Ice cream was my dream, but opening a food establishment was her dream. And really the main like. There was a moment where like taking down the brown paper from the windows on our first day open and seeing a line where you're just like, okay, thank you. A line. And that line lasted all summer long. And like, we survived through that first winter, and then people came back in the next summer, and it was just like, okay, Baltimore loves supporting people who love Baltimore. Like, yes. It's like if people are true and true about it, and I have a whole group of wonderful friends who are all working really hard to support Baltimore and make it better. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. There's so many more like the work you all are doing, and many, many more people, and just there's a lot of people working really hard to like make great things happen in this city.
Yeah. And that's, I'm glad to be a part of it, and I'm glad that you're a part of it. And yeah. So let's see. I had some corny Baltimore questions before we wrap up.
Okay.
Let's see. I'm going to ask the de facto one because it's summer. Snowball flavor. What is your favorite snowball flavor?
See, my favorite snowball that I've ever had is there's a egg. I'm an egg custard fan, and there's a spot called Elizabeth and Ziggy's. It's outside the city, and it is the man that works there by himself is like he's not Japanese, but it's that Japanese mentality. Yeah. Of like, he doesn't care how long the line is. It is one dude in there. He takes it, pours ice, knocks it down, and you taste it, and it's just like, why is this so much better? And it's just like the craftsmanship, must be 65 years old at this point, older, 70. It's called Elizabeth and Ziggy's, and it is just, I dream of this snowball. They're they're old. They're like classic egg custard is like, that's my favorite. So marshmallow in the middle.
Egg custard is my flavor, and I want to say like around this time last year when we were doing some of the putting up signs and all of this stuff for the live show, I had to do my Baltimore duty, my civic duty, if you will. This was around Artscape time, and it was a few people who from out of town, they came here and they were like, what is a Baltimore snowball? I overheard it. I was eavesdropping, and I was like, oh, no, sir. I stopped him and I was like, I'm going to order for you. And this is what I'm going to order. And he's like, egg custard, what is that? I was like, don't worry. It's like, somebody kissed you inside of your mouth. It's great. You'll like it.
Inside. Shout out there. I've been now three times since this, like the past 3 weeks, Ice Queens and Locust Point. I just went and checked them out. And I had a peach Melba. It was like ice soft serve on the bottom and a really nice peach flavor and whipped cream on top. And that was awesome.
Yeah, I'm definitely want to get there soon because they're down there, and they combine my two of my favorite things. They have New Orleans style in there, so right there from an SEO perspective, you caught my attention, and you got Snowball, so I'm going to pull up. Let's see, two more questions. Best favorite crab cake.
That's a really good question.
Stumped, I see.
Well, I mean, to me, Fadley's is the ultimate crab cake experience.
Okay.
And I love their crab cake. I'm going to go Fadley's. I got to.
Okay.
It's in the city. You go to Lexington Market. I remember going with my grandfather to Lexington Market. Yeah. Again, it's one of those connections. You walk in those doors, you're like, brought back, like, you
get to smell
30 years.
You get those roasted nuts. You get the Constance, the hot dog stand or what have you.
Yep.
And that was the go-to. Me and my dad would go there, and we would leave with 3 bags. It would be Constance. We would go there and get candy and like those blue mints, and they would go over there probably to the deli and get that roast beef sandwich. That's all the meat.
Mm-hmm. And then that Burger Bakery is where we ended. I was I love bakeries. I love baked cakes and cookies, and I'm a dessert man at heart. What can I say?
All right, then I'm going to shift my last question then. Okay. Let's see. What is it? Outerbein or burger? What is the Baltimore cookie? What is the Baltimore cookie?
It's a loaded question. I can't answer that.
That's funny.
Outerbein are my homies, so I'll say Outerbein.
That's fair.
I love Outerbein cookies. Burger cookies also good. Yeah. But I'll go Outerbein.
Then you're off the hot seat, sir. I hope not much of the dry ice or whatever to make this deliciousness is melted or whatever the case is. Even though dry ice. Yeah. So, anything that you want to shout out while we're in these last few minutes? I like to throw out there shameless plug moment or what have you or period, and also congratulations on seven years.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a really fun ride. We're working hard. We got 7 flavors coming up for the anniversary that'll be released on in about a week, and everything is just we're just churning along here at the Charmery, and we're constantly thinking of some new flavors. We got a few up our sleeves that are going to be really, really fun and delicious. And we have some awesome partnerships with some really great. We have one coming up with Kandwani Fidel, who is an incredible poet, spoken word artist and author, and he just got released a book, and you should check him out on Spotify.
Totally.
Get your Spotify into a different direction. Your Rex will be leading you all over the place with that. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's great. And for David, I'm Rob Lee, and I'm saying that there is art all around Baltimore and ice cream.